Hey gang, it's Randy the Harmonica Man. Today, I'm going to talk about harmonica instead of playing harmonica and doing a little bit of jackassery on this channel. So, sitting here by the nice warm fire. It's a little bit drizzly out today. It's about 36 degrees. So it's a good day to do a little bit of shuffle and then explain breathing technique, because that's the very first thing you need to learn. It's something that you naturally do when you lay down. You know, it comes from your diaphragm and not from your chest. If you're up here like this and going, you're pushing it way too hard. And this is how you don't get good tonality or anything. Now, let me show you the difference. This is chest breathing. And that's pushing it really hard. Now I'm just going to go from the diaphragm, and I don't need to use any of this. All I need to do is gently put this up here, and this is just used for a while. But this is, you know, the stomach. You can draw it out longer, and you can have your tonality controlled. As opposed to chest breathing. Might be a little bit louder at first, but you can get the same thing out of it if you learn how to breathe from the diaphragm. Christelle Berthon has a good video where she explained it real good. You know, you don't sit back here like this. And, I mean, you can, but you're not. It's like you just ate a big meal or something. You know, you're not going to get the lung power in the lower portion of your body. So even what I do, you know, before I go on a show, I make sure that I don't have a great big meal beforehand. If I eat earlier in the day and make sure I'm a little bit hungry, and then just have some water before the show or something to satisfy myself. So I start playing, and I'm not going to want to have anything in my belly to begin with. But the way she explained it, even babies do this, you know, laying down or whatever, and you can see, you know, the belly moving, because as mammals, we have this thing called a rib cage that protects our lungs. But in order to control your breath and to catch your breath after running or whatever exercise, we use our belly, and those lungs expand downward instead of outward, because, you know, solid object, and it takes way more energy to move those ribs. This is why you get people up here like this and their shoulders scrunched up, and same thing, you know, when they're sleeping. You know, they'll lay down on their side or whatever, because the chest is too heavy and it's too solid. That chest doesn't give that much. So if you see somebody with their shoulders and breathing like that, you know, unless they're going fast and articulating and trying to hang on, and that's the only reason why they should have any movement at all in their upper portion of their body. The rest of it comes from the diaphragm. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but my big ass belly, let's see, right there, yeah. Now watch. And that's pretty much about it on the breathing. And if you can't control your breathing that way, you know, because we're taught in school and all this stuff, according, you know, to Christelle, and I've heard this too growing up, breathe with your chest, and take in that deep breath, get it on the top of your lungs and all that. Well, I mean, you can if you're drawing, but you start from the bottom. You know, when you're doing super long notes or whatever, you're going to need that extra lung power. But it comes from the diaphragm first. You have to expand those lower lungs down first. There's where you're going to get your volume capacity, because it's not going to be up here. You're only going to get so much volume. Then you're going to have to be struggling against your rib cage. And a lot of times you can feel the air right there kind of knotting up right in the back of your throat, right where you're supposed to have it open to begin with, to get your tonality coming from, and not just your embouchure of your mouth, but your tongue moving, but that's going to knot right up once you get to the top of your lungs and when it's expanded, because you can only get so much air in there, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to run out, and then you're going to get to the top. I'm going to see what happens. My lungs, my throat are shot anyways from heart surgery a few years ago, so it hurts me. So I've had to practice on my diaphragm breathing. But what happened there, the note was a little flat, wasn't it? It wasn't very bright at all. That's because I didn't get the volume it needed for the reed to get that steady flow of air. It kind of ended and right there to the damn end, and it sounded like shit. So, and you can tell a lot of new players and everything, they'll be breathing like that through their chest, and then afterwards, see, I kind of got and I did this recently too. I was breathing a little bit too heavy because my belly was full and everything, and I was sick because I got Crohn's disease. So I get mine swelled out. But on the days that I feel good or whatever, I'm gonna belly breathe, and it's gonna sound a lot better and a lot cleaner. The tonality is gonna be a little bit wider, and it's just gonna sound better all the way around. And you can practice this if you're not used to this. This is the way we naturally breathe anyways, but you still have to get used to it. Drop your arms down, keep those rib cages down, come up here like this, and if you do a wah-wah, don't be up here like this, be down here like this. That way, and kind of hold your ribs in, if you want to. If you want to get tense it inside, okay? Hold them ribs in, and it'll force your diaphragm naturally to come out just under the xiphoid process. That's your middle of your ribs. That's your breadbasket, your diaphragm, whatever the hell you want to call it, right there in that middle spot. And it's going to expand and, wobble whatever you're going to use, because you're strengthening those lungs on the bottom instead of on the top. And that's basically the breathing technique that you need to learn before you play the actual harmonica. This is the first lesson that you need to do. You need to learn how to breathe first. Everybody asks, how could you play that thing like that and how do you breathe? Well, easy. I just do it naturally, and then it's not a big deal. And a lot of times I'll open up my nose or whatever, and I don't have to breathe in fully in or out. It'll just, it's just a different pathway for the air to circulate, and I'll get the oxygen that I need, or switch with my lungs, they'll still be working. Anyways, the first thing to do is learn how to belly breathe, and it comes naturally that way. And I'll show you in a second. I got a clip that I'm going to add to this, and it's of me taking a nap, even though it's not that big a deal. I did it just for this video alone, and just to show you the different positions laying down. And if you're asleep, you're not controlling it. It's just naturally your lungs are doing it for you. They're going in and out of your belly because it's the easiest path of least resistance, right? Just like water. Air's the same way. And your muscular structure in your lungs do the same thing. So in explaining this, just watch those clips and you'll see. And you can test this out for yourself too. Do different positions. If you're sitting in a chair, give yourself a little bit of space. Get that butt towards the edge of the chair. Don't be sitting in the back. Don't be leaning back. Don't be in the lazy boy. Because you're still laying down, your belly's giving you a little bit of pressure upward, and you're still going to be using that chest because that becomes a little bit less pressure for the least resistance. So is what you want to do is you want to have that weight on top. You want to sit up straight, get your good posture going, and then play. Try to draw that in as best as I can, but using my belly first. Don't lean over too far though, because that's, that'll hinder it. But I usually stand up when I'm playing just to get that air in those lungs on the bottom portion, and also run around a little bit, back and forth on the stage or in the house or whenever I'm practicing. I can't sit still to begin with. So sitting still and trying to play and having that energy going, screw that. I got to get up and start walking around and play. And that's just what it does naturally, because my body feels the best when I'm naturally moving if I need to use my lungs hard. Just like exercising or running or any other thing, we have evolved to do it that way. So when you're resting, that's when you sit down, and that's when you don't breathe properly because you get less oxygen and you doze off. But when it comes to playing this little instrument, the best thing to do is practice not breathing out of the upper portion of your lungs. Even if you got to lay down, and do it a couple times a day or whatever, and just practice belly breathing. Even if you're sitting down or whatever, practice sitting up, stand up, and concentrate on not your chest moving, but the lower portion of your lungs. And you can get it eventually, but it's going to take some time if you're not used to doing it that way. A lot of times, your lungs, and you breathe in, sometimes naturally, it's going to have to come up here. But you need to exercise that diaphragm portion of your lungs expansion. So you can do that a little bit every day, and even use it with holding a note like I just did a minute ago. But anyways, that's pretty much the lesson on breathing. I just got some short clips to add to it at the end of this, and you can see I don't have the intelligence to get little arrows or anything like that like most people do saying, see, there it is. Just had to pay attention to the diaphragm and how it's moving in the different positions where I'm trying to take a nap. Okay, and here we go. as always, remember,